What's going on, everybody? This is Living in Arizona Now, and today we're headed up to Kingman from Phoenix. This is going to be a road trip. We're going to show you all around the old Route 66. It's actually known as the heart of historic Route 66. First up, about 45 minutes outside of Phoenix, is the old western town known as Wickenburg. This was actually the original settlement outside of Phoenix before Phoenix became the boomtown it is today. Primarily over at the Vulture City Mine, which is now a ghost town just outside of Wickenburg. We didn't stop there, but as you can see, Wickenburg sits right along the Hassayampa River here, which has its headwaters up by Prescott. Now, the population of Wickenburg is around 8,000 people. Along with being a cowboy town, there's also a rodeo that takes place here called the Gold Rush Days Parade, which is one of the largest in Arizona. That's during February. The main highlight here is going to be the downtown area. Walking around the old historical district here, you'll find many different museums and a bit of history. Like I said, this one predated Phoenix for its boomtown. Many of these places in Arizona predated Phoenix. Phoenix just became one of the fastest growing cities around the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, and got even faster growing here as we went into the late 90s and early 2000s. And if you're on a road trip up to Kingman in northwestern Arizona, I would recommend stopping in Wickenburg probably for lunch, maybe spending an hour to an hour and a half just walking around, and then head back out onto the road. One thing I would like to point out, in my opinion, I think Wickenburg is one of the up-and-coming places in Arizona because of its rural atmosphere, being outside of the city but close enough to the city's main core. You could get a lot of desert lifestyle out here, and I think people are looking for that these days. So if you're looking for a place to build a house with property, consider Wickenburg, I would say. Depending on what you're looking for, house prices can range anywhere between the low 100s all the way up to well over $1 million, depending on how much acreage you want and how big your home is with the views. You can get some pristine views out here. And if you are one of those people who may be in the market for some of the higher end real estate, let's take you over to Wickenburg Ranch and show you what's going on over here. This is where you're going to have those new builds in really luxurious communities, kind of like what you have going on in North Scottsdale, just not for the prices that you have in North Scottsdale. So that's a benefit of picking to be out here. Like I said, it is about an hour to an hour and a half away from downtown Phoenix. And if you wanted to get to Sun City or Surprise, it might take you around 40 minutes. The lifestyle out here is really more about the country club, golf course lifestyle that you may find in Scottsdale. But the thing is, you're going to be out here in some really remote desert. This is where the coyotes are howling, right? So at night, you're going to hear the coyotes. You might get some javelinas in your backyard, an occasional bobcat, or a mountain lion might even come down. Those are rare though, so don't worry. But also the critters like rattlesnakes, Gila monsters, those are going to be in this area of the Sonoran Desert. And now from here, let's start heading north on Highway 93 and hit up the old mining town, which is still active actually. This is Baghdad. Now, something I want to tell you, here in Arizona, we're called the Copper State because of all the mines that are pulling copper and extracting the copper out of the ground. Baghdad is one of these main locations for mining in Arizona. The mine is actually owned by Freeport-McMoRan. It is one of the largest in the world, but believe it or not, it's not even the largest copper mine in Arizona. That one's in Morenci. If you guys want us to go up to Morenci, let us know in the comments. Also, if you guys really enjoy this mining history and these towns, let us know in the comments and we'll try to do more of that. Population of Baghdad's around 1,800 people. Something interesting about the name here, people want to know, why is it called Baghdad? Is it because of Iraq's Baghdad or what? Well, one of the stories is a father and son were out here in the 1800s digging, and the father, when he would dig out the ore, the son would load it. And when one of the bags was full, he asked his father, "Do you have a Baghdad?" And that's supposedly one of the ways the name came about, but that's unconfirmed. By the way, Baghdad is a super remote location, so getting out here is a bit difficult. What I mean by that is it's not around much else. It's really isolated out here, which could be interesting to those of you who are really looking for that remote lifestyle. In the winter times, it can get a bit brisk, almost a little bit of snow because it is higher elevation, but in the summer times, it's going to be quite hot out here. This really is true wilderness. One thing I would like to say is if you fly from Las Vegas to Phoenix or Phoenix to Las Vegas, you will fly over this area. And when you look down, you can see just how amazing the landscape is. But when you fly over it and when you drive around it, two totally different experiences. But another one of those small towns along the way is going to be Wikiup. Now, this word here comes from the Native American word, which means lodge, consisting of a frame covered with brush or some sort of matting, and this was used by nomadic American natives in the United States southwestern area. This is a super small town for those of you who love super small towns. It's under 100 people. Now, this area was originally put on the map because of a mine that was established here that never really quite got going. That was called the Signal Mine. And then there was others around the area, but like I said, the area never really got going. It's just a pit stop along the way. In fact, most people, if they blink, they might miss it, but it's worth noting on the way to Kingman. One thing you may be interested in doing out here is horseback riding in the desert. You can research horseback rides here, but being out in such a remote area doing that kind of activity might be fun for some of you who really like to get out in the Arizona Sonoran desert. Hey, and if you're hungry, this might be a good place to get a Chicago-style hot dog right here at the Chicago-style eatery. They also have a beer garden. Just something to consider while cruising through here. You never know what you'll find. Oh, and by the way, if you really love discovering Arizona, you may want to subscribe to this channel and watch some more of our other videos because we show you all around, and watching these videos, you never know what you're going to find, like something like Wikiup here. Another thing is these pies and honey. So you got these areas all across these highways. Sometimes just pulling over, you'll find some real gems, antiques, or even some local art. And at the end of the day, we're headed to Kingman, so let's keep this journey up 93 going, and we'll eventually arrive in Kingman soon, which is going to be, like I said, the heart of historic Route 66. It's become popular over the years, so let's keep cruising. Right up into Mojave County, this here is Kingman at an elevation of 3,300 feet, incorporated in 1882. The population here is around 35,000, and it's growing significantly. 20 years ago, if you would have asked me about Kingman, I would have said, not much going on out there. It gets cold winters and hot summers, not too much in between, but it's become a popular place with people who do motorhome lifestyle and traffic across America. And the reason is they can buy a cheap home base house here for around $200,000 to $300,000, and then get a cheap piece of land if they really want it. So depending on what people are looking for, that's what's put this place on the map. Affordability with land and housing. Some of you might say, well, $200,000 isn't really that affordable. Actually, that's for a home that would sell for around $400,000 in Phoenix. You could get cheaper in Kingman. It's just those are the average prices for what you would get in Phoenix for $400,000. So you are saving a lot of money. Usually this is a pit stop along the way to Las Vegas. People stop here at this interchange because they've got lots of food options, mostly fast food, plenty of gas stations, and it's a trucker stop, really, because there's an intersection. You can either go to Flagstaff, you can go to Phoenix or Vegas, or even towards LA here. It's really kind of a junction. And there's still many relics of the old Route 66. Right here, you'll see places like the Arcadia Lodge and many different hotels that seem stuck in that era, really. But you'll see signs around here saying Route 66 this, Route 66 that. And if you're really looking for that kind of history, go to some of these spots, check them out. Maybe even consider staying at one of these lodges like Arcadia. As you can see, the BNSF train goes through here. In case you're wondering what BNSF means, it's Burlington Northern Santa Fe. They also have the Amtrak route that goes through here, connecting with Flagstaff, so the railroad is still alive and well. Just some fun facts about Kingman. It actually gets its name after a railroad engineer named Louis Kingman. He was working on the railroad from the Atlantic and Pacific Railway. Also, some other fun facts. The Pittsburgh Pirates and Chicago Cubs played a baseball game here in 1924. That gives you an idea about just how popular the place was back in the old heyday. Kingman is also the turquoise capital of the world, with one of the largest suppliers of turquoise sourced right there northwest of the town. If you go up into the Hualapai Mountains, that's a place where you never know what you'll find up there. But then you also have other interesting facts, such as the Tong War, which actually was a Chinese mafia conflict that came here to Kingman and became national news. Power for the construction of the Hoover Dam came from this area of Kingman, so you can thank Kingman for the Hoover Dam in some way. Also, there was Charles Lindbergh and Amelia Earhart, who dedicated Arizona's first commercial airport on Route 66 here in Kingman in 1929. So lots of facts to know about this place. Thanks to explorekingman.com for all these details. Check those guys out if you want to learn more about Kingman, actually. And there is an old town area that you can explore down here in Kingman. We'll show you around this area real quick, and then we'll take you out to some of the other surrounding areas, give you some more details and information about Kingman. But let's show you around first, and then head over to the Museum of Mojave County History and Arts. By the way, if you guys really enjoy discovering this part of northwestern Arizona, we are going to be making a part 2 in this area where we're going to explore places like Bullhead City and also Oatman and some of the areas along the Colorado River. So definitely be on the lookout for that, because that's coming soon. I'll try to put a link when it comes out, or just subscribe to the channel and be on the lookout, because it's going to be coming in the next couple weeks. If you are considering moving to Kingman, I would like to point out some information. So the average home value here is $268,000. We already touched on the price, but it's actually been going down over the past year, so it might be an opportunity for you. And in June 2023, according to Redfin, Kingman home prices were down 11.5% compared to last year, selling for around $265,000. So if you're thinking about going to Kingman, this might be your opportunity, because it just seems like the trajectory of home values, even though it went down over the last year, it's slowly inching up decade over decade. That's the big picture, right? So not only are you getting out in the boonies and getting out of the big city in really remote areas, but you're also able to get a lot of land and for a good price in a place that is growing. So it could be an investment for you. Maybe even consider buying some land. Kingman is probably more of a place to retire, by the way, since the average resident pulls in around $23,000 a year. The U.S. average, by the way, is $29,000 or $28,555 to be exact. But the main industry out here seems to be gasoline and maybe even some railroad work or manufacturing. Some would say tourism, depending on who you talk to. But I would say the main thing out here is going to be interstate engineering, trailers, some sort of work with Honeywell Aerospace, because as you see, they do have the aircraft graveyard here. As far as recreation goes, there is the Hualapai Mountain Park Campground in the Hualapai Peak, and that's some seriously interesting desert to explore. Very rugged out there. People like to go out and camp and explore there, especially if you're living in Kingman. This is going to be one of the things to do. And, you know, there is minerals out here in those desert mountains. You've got copper, obviously. Gold mining was going on out here, silver. So let's go ahead and head out that way and see what we can find up in the Hualapai mountain range. Quick facts about Hualapai. It actually means people of the tall pines in the Hualapai language. It is a mountain range here in Mojave County, east of Kingman. The highest peak is going to be around 8,400 feet elevation, and the higher elevations of the Hualapai Mountains are actually a part of the Madrine Sky Islands habitat. So that's something interesting. And there's many different varieties of flora and fauna in these different microclimates that you'll find as the elevation drops and goes up. One thing I really enjoy about Arizona is the mountains and then the valleys. As you can see, Kingman kind of sits in a valley at 3,300 feet, but then the mountains, you can easily find those pine trees and that forest that really is awesome. And up here you'll see those cabins around the Hualapai National Park. I really enjoy this diversity in microclimates where you can change from high elevation to low elevation and get everything in between as well, like chaparral deserts. And around places like this, you'll find quite a variety of wildlife like deer, some bobcats, mountain lions, of course some reptilians. You never know what kind of reptiles you'll find up here. But have no fear, going out and exploring the desert is always a good thing, and exploring the desert highlands into the forest, really awesome and makes you appreciate nature. And that's one of the great things about a place like Arizona. In fact, if you're really loving Arizona, smash up the likes on this video. And just an added bonus for Kingman, if you're really looking to camp and do the outdoors thing, you don't want to do a motel or a lodge down in Kingman, do some camping, save some money. Check out Burrow Creek Campground. Really an awesome place to hang out. All right, everybody, that's going to conclude this episode of Living in Arizona Now from Kingman and the old historic Route 66. If you guys enjoyed this, hit the like, consider subscribing, becoming a channel member. Thanks to all our subscribers and channel members also. You guys are what make all these videos possible for everyone to be able to watch and tune in. And also be on the lookout for the Bullhead City video coming soon, which is going to show you all around the Colorado. If you guys enjoyed it, watch some more of our other videos. We just did a Yuma road trip and a Lake Havasu. I'll put both of those right there at the end here.